Der Sportvorredner Tirol sind ja dann halt und oben sind die Reisel, eine Senior-Dance-Gruppe. Ja, die sind alle noch.
Innsbruck in Austria, the venue for race 3 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup, and it is historic double Olympic venue on a track that was open for the 76 games. We are ready to see the shortest sheet of ice taken on by 24 sleds, the biggest field we've seen so far this year in the two-man. Delighted to have with me Great Britain push athlete Greg Cackett. Greg, this is a tough track because you have to have a start here to survive with any chance of a good result.
Hi, Martin. Great to be back. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Eagles is much like Winterberg, where the world champs are going to be this year. We call them starters tracks. So this bit here is absolutely crucial. You need all your velocity going into these first couple of corners, because if you load too late, if you run it too far, you kick out the grooves, you hit anything down here, you've wiped that start out. And on this track, you're not making that speed back, or you're doing exceptionally well, or you've got German sleds. So going down here now, we're going into, coming out of corner, I think that was 3. Going into the top part of the labyrinth, which takes us into the Kreisel. Now, Kreisel is pretty crucial here as well, because we're picking up a lot of speed here. You need to be on the right side, and you've got to draw a long line here. The pilots want to draw a long line so they're not getting spat out and losing pressure. They're going round 8. Round 9, this is another crucial exit because we're trying to shoot the straight here. What we say, we don't want to tap on the left. We want to take this nice into 10, maintaining our speed, so we're flying into the lower labyrinth. 11-12 is always a hairy moment for the brakeman. The hairiest moment's coming up, so out of 13. Round 14, you get your hands on the brakes if you know where you are, and you brake in here, pulling it up hard, putting them down again, because round this braking corner, if your brake handles are out, you're flipping the sled and you are upsetting your pilot. And up here, hopefully they've got the outrun sorted, and you come to a nice stop. Not at the rubber.
No,
which I did this week. Apologies, Brad.
Johannes Lochner is our World Cup points leader. He is the two-man world champion. Mickey Vogt's had a good season so far, in second place ahead of Francesco Friedrich. Friedrich claiming his first win of the year last weekend in La Plagne. An unusually dry start to the season for the multiple world champion. And those are the rest of the World Cup points after the beginning of the season. Apologies, the voice is now disappearing entirely. 24 sleds in the field, including Great Britain's Brad Hall, who makes his first start of the season. Everybody, except there he is, except for Taylor Lawrence in the crew, has had injuries and surgery over the summer break. And Greg, that's all part of an athlete's life, you know. When you're in your 20s, you bounce. When you're in your 30s, you don't so much. And it's such an explosive sport, such a power-driven sport, that you're always putting your body under extreme pressure.
Yeah, you're always on the red line. In any sort of sprint events, anything where you're explosively doing any sort of explosive movements, you've got to be confident that your body's going to cope with that level of load and cope with that intensity. And that's the hardest thing about bouncing back. As you said, in your 20s, you've got a bit more confidence because you're younger, you don't think about being too old. In your 30s, there's the mental game. You think, oh my God, am I going to heal? Am I going to come back from this? So it gets tougher as you get older. But we're here, we're going to do our best, and I know Brad's going to put his best foot forward today. And I'll tell you what, it's been lovely to come back. We've had an amazing welcome, but it is so cool to come back to such a big field.
It is great. Race 3 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. We've raced in Yanqing in China, in La Plagne in France, and now we're at another Olympic venue at Innsbruck in Austria. Getting us underway, Italy's Mattia Variola, his 30th World Cup start, his 21st as a brakeman, so here's where he comes of age. Jose Abu behind him, Jose making his 5th two-man World Cup start. Mani Mahata having a check in the sled. Lots of work going on, lots of attention to the sled this close to the start line. Maybe just making sure the D-rings are correctly hooked up. Yeah,
that's something your brakeman doesn't really want to see. You want this to be as seamless as possible. But hey, this will set the standard here. These guys are good pushing athletes. Mattia's an excellent pushing pilot, and Obu on the back. This is a 10-2 man on the 100 meters. He's a good sprinter. So let's see what we got on the clock. In and down, nice. He's out of there, nice and clean. 5:18, okay. Anything in the teens here is decent. Anything in the O's is exceptional. So we are starting with our best foot forward here for the Italians.
It's cold, it's crisp. We've been in the cloud for the last couple of days. Today is a bright, clear day, and the ice will be fast. The track record set by Francesco Friedrich in December 2020 in that slew of two-man races in the first COVID season. That is a 51.04. We will be doing well to get to that today.
Definitely. There's a lot of 52s in training, so but a lot of... Oh, he's gone! Oh, Mattia.
Late off corner 9, and it is so critical to have the exit clean and tidy. He doesn't come back up. too much weight. In a women's sled, you often see them right themselves there. The men are heavier, and that means that weight of the two athletes is holding the sled down.
That's when they get spat out down the end of the corners there, and then the helmets clip the ice and clip the wall. It's not much fun. And I know we've talked in the last few years about Burns vests. Here comes a track worker coming in nice and quick. That's excellent to see. Yeah, hopefully the boys are okay. Hopefully there wasn't much contact with the ice there. Mattia falling prey to corner 9. Exit corner 9. It's claimed many a world-class pilot.
It has indeed. It's the first time
in the back. Yeah, he's not happy.
First major problem we're seeing. Brings it down too early and then realises the problem. It's
Pressure
starting to push back up, and then he's hauling it off, but it's too late. By the time he realises he's in trouble, the accident's coming anyway.
This is going to be tough for Mattia. You know, he's had a rough time of it in the sled. You know, the driving is something he's still learning, he's still getting to grips with. He's got such a good start. We know a couple of years ago, I think, or maybe last season, in the 4-man, they were starting deep into the 5.0s. It was world-class pushing. He's just got to get his head around these D-rings.
Well, looks like he's okay. There's Jose at the back. Well, they did cross the line, so they are eligible if they finish in the top 20, which seems unlikely with 24 sleds in the field to go again, but I think that is their day done. He's very disappointed with himself.
Yeah, adrenaline will be high, emotions will be high. It's not a fun feeling, but you never know. Maybe they will come back to do a second. I hope they do.
Well, I'm not sure they're going to make the top 20, unfortunately. In a thinner field, they would have had that opportunity.
Oh, that's right, of course. Yeah, still getting used to the 24 sled field.
Exactly. So Simone Patazzo there, former Italian Olympic slider, helping, and Richa early at the back.
Too damaged?
No, I don't think so. But, yeah.
Oh, boys.
I have sore necks. Didn't look like too much of a burn. Left shoulder, looks like it.
Yeah, some contact there, hopefully.
It looked like he's got a Burns vest on under that, actually. And you know, they're not mandatory, and there is that sort of machismo where there's, you don't need it. In the old days, we didn't,
No, I think
in the old days, cars didn't have seatbelts or airbags. That doesn't mean they're a bad thing.
I think that's, I'm hoping that has faded off, because it's just stupid. They are such significant injuries, ice burns, and if you're not wearing a vest, it is stupid. And I think it's insane that it isn't mandatory, that there's not a standardized vest. I'm hoping the IBSF are going to start opening those conversations up, because you know, athlete safety is paramount, and we're seeing it. We see even with equipment testing, the brakeman is the last person to be consulted on anything, and we are the sandbags. You know, we're the ones getting flipped out of the sled. So it needs to be addressed for sure.
Definitely, and you know, it is part of the federation's duty to look after their athletes, and that's why the track hold is going on at the moment, because the track workers are checking to make sure there are no gouges, no slices taken out of the ice that might lead the sled astray. The last thing you want when you're doing 110, 120 Ks is the sled to start driving itself, because it's following somebody else's tram lines. Well, it's a bit of a hold for our next crew in only their second World Cup race, Radoslav Sobczyk and Severin Sosna of Poland. Now, it's only their second time in the World Cup, but they will have had races before where they have been waiting when there's a track hold. Maybe not when you're on the line. That's less usual.
Yeah, it's not much fun that either, because obviously we compete in minus temperatures. You do a lot of work on getting warm, getting the core temperature up, getting yourself ready to explode off that block, and you've got the nerves ramping as well. And if you're made to stand there, you know, if you're a 100-meter sprinter and you've experienced a full start, you kind of get that sense of, you've got to, you know, recenter yourself, get yourself ready to compete again. When you're doing it in minus temperatures, it's even less fun. Yeah. So we'll see. It's a good experience for these guys, though, because it happens to all of us at some point.
And everybody who's standing on the start line or in the changing rooms behind knows exactly why there is a track hold.
Yeah.
It's never the timing system. It's never that there's snow falling in off the roof, or very rarely. It's almost inevitably because somebody's just binned it. And then, you know, and that just sets the nerves jangling as well, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. I mean, Eagles is the least nerve jangling of the track, so it would have been more a question of surprise, I think, in the changing rooms, seeing that someone had gone over.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the boys look okay, and they'll be back fine, no doubt.
We'll have another chance in the 4-man race tomorrow, the European Championships as well, so Mattia will be very keen to compete in that. So, 25-year-old driver Radoslav Sobczyk and his 20-year young brakeman Severin Sosna. They made their debut last week in La Plagne, didn't travel to Beijing. 11 starts in Europa Cup in two-man and 2 Junior World Championships before he made his World Cup debut. Started driving in November 2021, so we're now 2 seasons in. So, you know, these guys, relatively inexperienced. His brakeman, only 9 two-man races under his belt, and those 2 Junior Worlds as well. So they've worked together well, clearly. They're both very young, still in the foothills of their career. Get beaten up by the coach at the back.
I was going to say, that's got to be an acquired... off centre there. It's an acquired taste, that one, I think. I don't think I'd fancy having someone smacking me on the back before I go. Get him, and he's down good. You know what? It's great to see. 5:45 is a solid getaway for the boys. What's really cool with this is these are young guys on a journey to reignite a program. You know, we had a few years ago Matthias Luthi, who was a fantastic pilot. He had some great results for Poland. It was really sad to see the program go under or go on hiatus. And so these young guys and girls coming through is fantastic for the sport.
Yeah, 2 sliders in the Monobob for Poland. We've got 2 Polish sleds here in two-man and hopefully tomorrow in four-man. It is because it's a nation that's got a long history in the sport and now starting with another generation. Top speed so far, so quicker at that stage than Mattia Variola.
And safely out of 9 as well. Shot that beautifully. This is a good run. This is a nice run. Safely through the labyrinth.
Again, 2 years of driving experience. Hits the final corner. He wouldn't be the first to do that and won't be the last. 52.33, so he is our current leader.
Little love tap to the brakeman there just to make sure he's awake, and he got on the brakes nice and quick. He saw his head pop up, so he knew exactly where he was. It's a professional brakeman. Look at that, bringing that to a stop. Like I said, I was on the rubber this week, so he's putting me to shame there.
Well, it doesn't hurt if the driver yells as well, because the driver sees exactly where he is. Oh, little slip there, the right foot.
There you go, that's what it was.
Oh, and the hand came off the handles.
Yeah. So that would have been a massive... So
that's a 5-minute hold, just that little bit of extra nerves.
Definitely, and I think that's probably why we've seen a 5:45 there, probably worth a 10th in the next seat, so keep an eye out if they make it.
At least. And yeah, didn't get his feet around the driver. All sorts of nerves there for the brakeman, Severin.
That's okay, they're learning. They want to definitely clean up that load though, for sure.
Next up for the Czech Republic, their young pilot, Adam Dobeš, now 31, and Michal Dobeš, the brakeman, not related, as far as they're aware, in any way, shape or form. So 8th World Cup start for the driver, only the 3rd in two-man for his brakeman. 2 10th place finishes, his best results in World Cup races so far in just 7 previous starts.
So I'd expect to see this push in either the low 20s or teens, because these guys push exceptionally well. There you go, 23. They push very well in the plan. So there seems to be a good pairing for the Czechs.
Yeah, they get in, get down nice and neatly. I think Adam Dobeš has got plenty of years in front of him. He does look like he learns these tracks fast.
Yeah, he's looking pretty clean through here, going through the top labyrinth. Going to prizes, watching exit here nicely out. There's a little jutting out portion there called the hammer, which you can park your brakeman on. So the police have got through that clean. This is okay, a little late off 9, but he's got through there nicely.
No big skids. And the speed is good as well. He's right about where we saw the Polish sled. And he's got that start advantage, which carries itself down the track. 51.88. That's 51.04 is the track record. So I don't think we're going to get a track record maybe in the first heat as the sun decides to disappear. We'll start our second heat at 3. He's happy with that. You can, yeah. Driver reaction is a big metric, isn't it? You can see how well he thinks he's done.
Yeah, and he's getting those exits okay. He's benefiting from the fresh ice here. So this will again be an interesting one to see how these times stack up when the big boys start filling out the field.
I love that going away shot because you can see how much air is between the brakeman's backside and the bottom of the sled. That transition is pretty wild. Next up for Latvia, Emil Stipulis with Dove Springs. Now, I was having a little bit of a look at Dove Springs starts. You know he used to drive in Europa Cup?
I did not know
I didn't know that either, yeah.
He's kept that quiet.
His 22nd two-man World Cup start, but he was a driver.
This will be a big push. Davis is an absolute machine. 5.18, another big push. So that stacks up well with Obu and Mattia, because these boys are no slouches. The Latvians are some of the biggest pushers on the circuit, and Springis is a hell of an athlete. I've seen the guy split clean 170 kilos like he's nothing. So These are some serious athletes instead here.
Nice looking drive so far from Tsipoulis. It's been a while since we've had a two-man race here. The last two-man race here was in November 2021. Last year was double four-man because it came after Segulda, which is double two-man.
Little tap there, but it's a parallel tap. So we saw a beautiful exit from Kreisel. We saw his speed go from third to first. We've seen him carry the speed down. Late off. There, he's taking this through nicely. Interesting shot.
It's a good run, though.
Definitely. Better part of half a second. Good job.
500s up at the start, 4/10 up at the bottom, 51.48. Okay, so if Emil Tsipoulis is coming down 4/10 off the track record, where are we going to see Lochner and Friedrich?
It'll be very, very interesting.
It is going to be interesting.
There from Davis as well. Shout that out.
Well, Dave Springer's first race was a two-man race in La Plagne in December 2014.
You see, it was just fractionally late off 9, which has just pushed him across, but taking the parallel tap, no skids, he's managed to hold on to his speed.
So there's your driver, Emil's 14th World Cup race for him. 10th World Cup start as a driver for Cedric Follodor of Switzerland. 6th in La Plagne last week. His World Cup career high so far in his first 9 races. Greg Jones behind him. His 9th two-man World Cup start.
So he's got a moustache as handsome as his name of Greg Jones on the back there. And Cedric Follodor has had a hell of a start to the season. He's proven to be right in the mix with these boys. 5:31.
Yep.
It's a solid getaway. Two-man is not Cedi's strength. The four-man they've been pushing excellently, as well as so is Friedlich's crew. They've been really impressive too.
Third best velocity. Friedlich, of course, former brakeman, so he's got that oomph on the front handles as well.
Cedi certainly knows his way around the D-rings and knows how to get these sleds down fast. And it's been really good to see him. Number 1 speed. So let's watch how he comes out of Kreisel.
Great exit.
Beautiful. 2400. See if he can start chopping away at that. Let's come back a little bit. Nicely there. Only a little tap into 10. Stop the bleed.
Woo. Too late to catch the leader, though. Tsipoulis will have the advantage at the line. 300s found in the final labyrinth. 51.69.
And you can see how hot on the brakes there Greg was. He was straight on them through that finish line. Because that's the other thing you've got to get right. Sometimes you pull them before the finish line if you get a little bit too trigger happy.
Yeah, that's happened before. You see your head pop up halfway through the lower labyrinth. You know the brakeman's really lost.
Yeah.
Well, down in the lower labyrinth again, there's that transition. You saw Greg Jones landing back into the sled.
There we go. You just see him getting rocked around in the back there. It's always the joy of being a brakeman. You wake up in the morning, you think, why does that part of my hip hurt? Why does that part of my back hurt? And then you see the footage, and you go, oh, that's why.
Yeah, not just me, then. Emil Tsipoulis is our leader. 5 down in the first heat of the two-man. Patrick Baumgartner of Italy, 37th two-man World Cup start for the Youth Olympic champion in boys bobsleigh in 2012. Robert Messier behind it, his 10th two-man World Cup start.
And Robert, we're looking at probably the strongest brakeman in the field here. 5:25, it's a good push. Again, they had good pushes in the plan last week. Patrick was really happy with that in the two-man. But Robert is seriously strong. We're talking about a competitive weightlifter here who can, again, clean 200 kilos. It's monstrous numbers.
Great start to the season for Baumgartner. 4th in Beijing in the two-man, silver in the four-man. Yes, it was a thin field, but Lochner was in front of him and Friedrich was behind him. It's still a great result.
And he's holding on to a 10th behind here. He stopped that bleed, and Patrick is one of, again, the best drivers in the field. He just hasn't had the start over the years, but he's really coming good.
Best result here, 18th place in February's race. 51.57.
He's called a bit back there as well. It's not too bad.
So ahead of Cedric Follodor, but behind Emil Tsipoulis by just 900ths of a second. There are going to be some very small margins, and it will be unlikely or unusual if we don't have at least one tie in the field. This track is short, and there's not much room to make a difference.
Absolutely, and like we said, a huge amount hinges, if not everything, on the start. If you get that start way up in the field, we're seeing it in the Monobob. If the starts are huge and they're bringing it down clean, it is super competitive. And we saw it in the female Skelly. You know, what a race that was.
Yeah.
It's so close.
And it's real snakes and ladders as well. When you've got, you know, 4 sleds covered by 400s, if you sneeze in the wrong place, you've lost 3 spots. For Austria, their top driver is Markus Treichel, 11th in the last race here in November 2021. Former luge slider, as just about everybody else is who comes through the Austrian programme. Sascha Stepan behind him. 4th only 2-man World Cup start for Sascha. It's much more frequent incumbent in the 4-man sled. But for Markus Treichel, his 51st run.
So we just saw it get lifted slightly out of the grooves there. That might impact here because Sascha's one of the smaller guys in the field. 19, the guy can push. And again, I've been saying this for years with Meyer's boys, with Sascha and Christian and Sama. The boys are absolute beasts. So now Markus has taken them on. He stepped into Benny Meyer's shoes and he's doing an absolutely fantastic job. It'll be really interesting to see how he comes down here. Very nice.
And that extra speed at the start has never been a hindrance.
But this will be a heavy sled too. Sascha is not one of the bigger guys. Second fastest speed. Watch this exit at Kreisel. Let's see if he starts pulling these into green numbers.
Started 100 slower than Tsibulis, but 800s back. Tsibulis wasn't the fastest sled. Patrick Baumgartner is at most of the speed traps. 1/10 of a second in it. Baumgartner is 900s back in seconds. This is second 600s. So he used a little Austrian shortcut in the final corner.
That's it. It's so deceptive, this track as well. You think those last couple of clocks, you see them just dropping back a couple of hundreds, drop back a couple of hundreds, and then suddenly they take a leap forward by the finish line. Very difficult to predict. But good job there, boys. Excellent pushing, Sascha.
Some of his sponsors, associates were here at the track yesterday. Yeah, hand slip, left hand slip again. That's the what are we now? 7 sleds in. We've seen 2 brakemen's hands slip off the handles. That in an entire race is unusual. Never mind in 7 sleds in one heat.
So you just see the way Sascha loaded there. It's slightly inefficient with the armpits taking the load. Keep an eye on Lochner's crew. Watch George Fleischhauer. Watch how he loads.
Yeah, that's a quart into a pint pot, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Other metric equivalents exist. Li Chunjan of China now, 18th World Cup start for Li. He was 15th here in January 2020. Didn't race here in November 21. Wasn't here last year.
Wu's a solid brakeman too. He's, again, if you're looking for something, you know what, something in the 20s here, minimum.
Wu's one of those guys who's got a strange
23.
canter, hasn't he? Not an even leg turnover. It's sort of an odd canter.
That was decent. A low 20 push. He's definitely acquitted himself well here. And again, we're seeing those pushes in the teens. They are setting the standard.
And Wu,
nice drive from him.
Wu only on the back of the sled with Li for the first time this season. He actually competed with Sun Kai Chi up until the end of last year.
Beautifully out Kreisel there. Again, you want to be sort of middle, so you can take a nice entrance into 8. Setting themselves up well for 9 and 10 here, maintaining the speed. He's doing okay. Ooh, a little bit drifty there.
Oh.
Here we go. Watch this. He's through safely.
Yeah. That big height in 11, you're suddenly, ooh, look out. 2600s back, 51.74, some shouting from the mics at the bottom. So I'm guessing that Wu may not have been quite early on. Let's hear what Yanis Minins, the coach, has to say. He always has a sort of checklist of questions for the athletes. We heard him last week to, was it whyming me? I can't remember. Did you hit the woodwork? Exactly the question we've been asking as we saw the replay. He was close. Ooh. He was close. That's big height in 10, but if you can use it and dive down on the exit, then you make it into a bit of a horseshoe and get that extra acceleration.
Absolutely, but just sent him into the wall there a little bit, and then he was a little wild down in this bottom section, but sometimes wild's fast.
It nudged him a little late into 11, and then suddenly, shaky.
Who knows?
Okay, next up then is Johannes Lochner, our world champion. Silver medalist last time out here. He has won on this track. It's his 60th 2-man World Cup race.
And the boys are there, the current world champions. Watch this load. He's in, he's down, he's gone. 5:08, there you go. There's the standard. The 20s is good, the teens is excellent, the O's is world class. That is fantastic, pushing from the German cap. Hansy's going to keep this top section quiet so he can carry all that start speed all the way down the track. This is beautiful. 3/10 up already, #1 speed.
7 podium finishes already on this track. A win, 4 silvers, 2 bronze medals.
Out of 9, shoots it straight to 10. This is immaculate from Hansy. This is going to be the gauntlet thrown down to Friedrich, to Mickey Vogt.
Since he joined up with Georg Fleischhauer last year, he's stepped up an extra level to become Super Hansy and a new track record. Where did that come from?
Oh, boy.
That's nearly 2 tenths inside the old record. 51.04 becomes 50.88.
That is...
What?
It's outrageous. Yes, Hansy, #1, mate.
But that was
Excellent.
12 hundredths off the start record, and he's taken nearly 2 tenths out of the track record. I know it's cold and fast today. Didn't think it was that fast.
Yeah, you know, I've heard from some of the other teams saying that the ice has been pretty good this week. Sometimes it's a little bumpy here, and they've really looked after it well. And like you say, the conditions are right. It was a world-class push. He carried the speed, but hey, he drove it absolutely immaculately.
Yep.
Beautiful run, Hansy.
Look at that. If you want video of how you shoot 9 down to 10...
I was at Hansy's wedding in the summer. I didn't think he'd ever recover to perform like this.
We've got his wedding present in the back. There's 5 packets of stroke waffles waiting for him.
All right, there might be 4 when it gets to him then.
Mickey Vogt next up for Switzerland with Sandro Mickel. Well, Hansi Lochner's just broken the track record and moved the bar a little higher. Let's see what the Swiss have got. He won last week in La Plagne when first heat leader Hansi Lochner made a mistake at the start. 5:15, that's another quick getaway for a man who's still not pushing 100%.
5:15's a great getaway. He's nursing a little niggle in his back, Mickey, but he's, you know, gold medalist from last week. That'll again have set a new mental barrier. They can do this. I've been saying these guys are, you know, champions incumbent for a long time. They are fantastic in the 2-man. They got 4th in Beijing, agonisingly short of winning that Olympic medal, but they are, it's written for them. I really believe that.
Yeah, he's going to rest his back. After tomorrow, he will not race next week. He won't do the Swiss trials the week after. Next time he sits in a sled will be the 2-man race in Samoritz in the 2nd weekend of January. So they're giving us...
Ooh,
big skid.
round 14.
Big skid. They're giving us much time to recover as he can get 51.40.
And it just shows the extraordinary golf to Hansi. I mean,
That's
Mickey's sitting in
incredible.
second, but it's half a second.
Yeah. You don't, half a second, half a second normally covers the first 10 at least here in Innsbruck. In fact, from 5200s back to get to the next half a second, you go from 2nd to 8th. We've only had 10 sleds down.
Yeah, it's absolutely...
Only 9 of which finished. I mean, it's like he's in a Europa Cup race. Mickey gets the nose, trying to hold the nose down, but the weight of the sled is just pushing the back up there. I saw the big gouge there left by Variola's sled. I wonder if it just caught his front runner and held the nose down. Hansi Lochner in Class A. In Class B, Vogt Sipulis, Treichel and the rest battling for the pieces that drop from the top table. Another Swiss sled now, Simon Friedli, 18th only in the last 2-man race on this track, but 6th in Yangqing with Luca Rolli, who's back on the sled behind him.
Now watch this start, 5:18 again. Well, that shows the standard of what Sandro just pushed, because Luca Rolli has been in insane form this year. He topped out the Swiss testing. He was, I think, away and clear. Excellent pusher. He normally pushes with Timo, with Rona, and he's obviously with Friedli this year to great effect. The boys have been pushing. When we watched the China race in the 4-man, we were watching from home going, God, these guys are close to Friedrich. They're pushing extraordinarily well in the 4-man.
The problem for Mickey Vogt is that Silbieri is also out at the moment, one of his key brakemen, so he's scratching around the other drivers going, come on, lend me one of your guys, lend me one of your guys. They don't want to do that because they want to make sure they're well placed enough before the reselection at Christmas so that Rona doesn't steal one of their World Cup spots.
Absolutely, and shout out Cyril as well. Hope you're getting better, mate. Now the back problem.
51.64, well, you know, this is a very physical sport and it's explosive power sport, and then all the heavy humping that goes on.
He's safe.
Yeah, and hauling on the brake handles.
So you can just see the rubber overshoot there. That is not really where you want to be. It's not the worst thing in the world.
A great view of the braking handles as well. It's a very simple system. One pivot, you pull the handles up and it drags some teeth down into the ice under the sled.
That's it. But that was a solid drive from Seaman there. Again, we're talking about another top brakeman in his day, brakeman turned pilot. We're seeing it in the front of the sled. He's got some great starts this year.
Nice smooth run, too. 9 down to 10. Top start, Seaman Friedli.
And he is ahead of Follador as well, so the race within a race keeps going.
Okay, for the USA, next up Frank Del Duca. Only his 7th World Cup start as a driver. He made 3 appearances in his braking career in the World Cup. And behind him is Josh Williamson, 10th two-man World Cup race for him.
This makes me really happy, Martin. Josh Williamson on the back there. He's one of my good mates on the circuit. He's gone through huge injuries. He's had huge problems. He's been so patient, and it is awesome to see him back on the World Cup. And he is 5.17. I'm sorry, but he is, again, one of the absolute class acts in the field. And Frankie is also, as well, you know, former brakeman turned pilot.
Yeah. And he's learning to drive well as well. He was 4th last week in La Plagne. I mean, that's a real driver's track, and he'd never seen it before.
Yeah, and this two-man kit that they're running seems to be going exceptionally well. So I'm going to be fascinated to see what he does further down the track here. But what a great push from Josh.
Yeah, new two-man sleds developed and built in the US. There's a new 4-man sled. Oh,
come on, Frankie.
And high.
He's held it together, but that's gonna dent him.
Yeah, it's going to kill the time. Goes to 36 back. He was a quarter of a second off the lead. This could still be the second fastest run. It is still the second fastest run. They need to throw him down more tracks he's not familiar with, because, boy, he can drive these.
I mean, you want to do it wild? That was
all right.
Yeah, look at him laughing. He knows that was a close one.
There's a get out of jail free card gone missing there somewhere. I mean, who's going to go quicker than this, though? We've got Friedrich next up.
So watch this. He did exactly pretty much what Mattia did, but he just managed to haul it off and save it.
He wasn't steering because he wasn't still going up. It was coming down, but again in the labyrinth, look at that. Really hauls it off.
Yeah, Josh had been feeling all of that.
Mm-hmm. Proper Robin Hooding it there a couple of places.
Yeah, a few of our fathers said through that. Great job, Frank.
They probably didn't even get to the father of our father. Next up is our 11-time winner on this track. Francesco Friedrich has won the last 6 straight with a combination of Torsten Margis last time out.
He's got his pilot handle.
5.06 start.
I don't know did he get that in time? Did it clip on? Watch his speed. He's gone red.
Alex Schuller has had 4 straight wins with Francesco on this track.
This will be fascinating to watch this, because I don't know if that pilot handle coming in is going to have affected him here, because you had Big Schulli on the back, 5.06 push. Another extraordinary German athlete. Second best speed.
It is about him and Lochner now. This is turning into a real Coke versus Pepsi war, isn't it, between the two of them?
He's very tidy. He's driving
Look at the lines. The lines are
He's
fantastic. The FDS sled is going well. Well, that's that little bit of an error at the start and the deficit at the bottom. 51.02, 200s inside the old track record.
So I hope we get the replays on the start, because I am curious to see if that pilot handle hit anything before it went in. It looks like it's in one piece.
That's the little gesture with both his hands on the cowl.
Let's have a look. So he's in. The sink on the load is excellent. Look, straight in, both bums down.
Yeah, as always. I mean, these two are just like a well-oiled machine.
Now watch this handle.
He's punching the button and it's not coming in. He's got to steer, so he's no longer punching the button. He's hit it once, it hasn't come in. Now he's got to steer through one.
So that will have affected him coming off, flopping off there. Now, did it come in? Did it hit something?
Yeah,
again,
as soon as he's straight in one, punches the button and it comes in. So he can then get into 2. But, I mean, you can't drive these one-handed. It's not a steering wheel. We were talking about this yesterday with Andrea Grecu. If it was a steering wheel, it would make life a lot easier for all the drivers. Used to be in the old days when they were open sleds. Next up for Romania, Mihai Tentea with former skeleton World Cup slider Mihai Pakianu on the back of the sled. It's only his third two-man start. First time outside of Innsbruck. That's his dad, the tall figure at the back, Julian, who's the coach of the federation. 5:32.
32 getaway is not too bad for these boys. They're pushing a heavy sled in the two-man, they're pushing a heavy sled in the four-man. I was speaking to Tentea the other day about it. He's the heaviest in the crew right now at a svelte 96 kilos, I think. Mihai on the back is one of the smaller lads. We're a bit of a kindred spirit in that sense. He's got himself to 87 kilos, which is a lot of bulk for the boy. And he's converting. Yeah. These pushes are okay.
When he started skeleton, he only weighed 87 kilos with the sled.
Yeah, exactly.
Fourth best speed. I mean, Mihai's a very good driver. One of his best ever World Cup results was on this track in November 21. He was 7th. That's the best he's ever done in any track. And this is a starter's track. Ducks his head in the final corner. 51.85. Well, they're cycling through their brakemen this season to make sure everybody gets a race, make sure everybody stays fit and healthy. And I mean, the number of times that Mihai's had to sit in at the start here in Innsbruck because he's had injuries.
Yeah, it was a familiar sight for a long period. But they've lost Cipriani. He retired. Yep. He was their big boy. He was an excellent athlete, and he was the weight. He was the one who allowed them to be light. He's the Taylor Lawrence of that team, I think.
Yeah.
But, not a bad one. Still a good drive. They're always smiling. He's a great lad.
Yeah. Big Ciprian had to push a very full sled quite a few times. Next for Latvia, our 15th of 24 sleds. Jēkabs Kalender, the 21-year-old. He's been here in Europe Cup and in the Junior Worlds. Behind him, Edgars Ungārs, 30-year-old, making his two-man World Cup debut. He's made 3 four-man starts this season. Did 3 Europe Cup races last year. And again, you're seeing the start there. That's an inexperienced brakeman. He's a big man, but he's lifting the sled as much as he's pushing it off the block.
He's a big boy, but a 5:25 getaway is not too shabby at all, especially for your World Cup debut. Latvia they cycle out these enormous units. They have guys who've been playing street basketball for years, never done a sprint session before, go and push a sled, and they're world class. It's something in the water in Latvia for sure. They are extraordinary.
Somebody drive around the streets of Riga looking for big, young guys. Okay, right, get in the car. You're coming bobsledding with us.
That's it. And Jēkabs as well. He's very young. He's very inexperienced, but he's cutting his teeth on these tracks. He's doing all right. That's not too bad. Parallel tap.
11th best start, out to 13th at the moment. So he's in the same territory as Mihai Tentea and Adam Dobesh of the Czech Republic across the line. 11th between the two of them, tied in fact with Tentea. So 51.85, exactly the same that we've just seen from the previous sled. Again, that's the nature of this track. Only one tie so far in 14 sleds down successfully.
Yes, you just see him. He's not low enough. He's lifted up. He hasn't got his hipster. He just lifted that sled out of the grooves. A little bit of inexperience there, a little bit of anticipation, trying to get away a bit too quick. But there's a bit of pressure on these boys. You know, Latvia has such a storied history in the sport. We've got like Melbardis, Kibermanis, who have now retired. It's a huge mantle to take on, especially for such young lads.
Absolutely right. Hansi Lochner leads from Francesco Friedrich with 15 sleds down here in Innsbruck. Sun Kai-chi of China, last race here in November 2021, tied for 18th position. Qi Zhanyu behind him, 16 years old, his brakeman, making his World Cup debut. Qi was here last week, driving in the qualifying races for the 2024 Youth Olympic Games. And this week he's on the back of the two-man.
That is amazing.
Astonishing.
He's pushed a 5:22. Great job, kid. That is done himself.
So last week,
there.
Qualified for the Youth Olympic Games as a driver. This week, pushing a sled.
Well, he's getting enviable experience.
Multitasking, yes. He's done barely any sled pushing in races. He's done a lot of driving in the odd qualifiers. So he'll be going to Pyeongchang in February to race for China in the Youth Olympics in boys bobsleigh, which is monobob.
Well, we have to look out for his push start result.
No.
Because he must be...
I know. Well, he's had a slew of medals. He's had 1 win, a couple of silvers, 2 or 3 bronzes.
Wow, so...
Meanwhile, Sun, a couple of hundreds in front of the tie for 11th, which is now the tie for 12th. 51.80 downtime. So, but
exciting times for the Chinese program then. Sun took, what, a first ever World Cup medal in Beijing.
Yep.
And the 16-year-old lad on the back, it looks like one for the future, but he's here already.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And, you know, we saw that with Keisha Lava in the women's monobob last year and the year before, and in the games, breaking for Kaylee Humphries and winning races and learning to drive. And this year, coming out and killing it in monobob. You know, this kid on the back, there he is on the right. Youth Olympics are in February. Next season, he'll be driving sleds in Europe Cup and North America. You know, in 2 years' time, going into the 26 games, he might be an Olympic driver. Next up, one of the big stories this year in German bobsledding, brothers Adam, 22, and 30-year-old Issam Amour joining together. They raced together once before in Sigulda last year, and this is now their 3rd race together.
Now watch the start. These boys are out and out pushers. They're phenomenal. 5.12. They'll have a bit of weight in the sled. That's the only reason that's not in the O's. I'm telling you, Issam is a machine. Adam is a machine. Yeah. Really exciting for the German program here.
Adam Amour, junior world champion. Issam has been in and out of the German program for the better part of 8 or 9 years. But with his brother coming through as a driver, the two combine so well.
Yeah, I think he's been frustrated not to feature more in the German program with the quality of his pushing, but he's found something really special with his brother here. They're similar stature. They're a little shorter than some of the other fields, so their cadence matches up. They sync well. Hey, they're brothers.
Yep. Well, they're Germany 3 at the moment, and they are in 3rd place at the moment. Christoph Hafer, Hans-Peter Hanighofer, they're going to have to find something very special to take a World Cup place away from these boys. René Spies, look at that. 4,300s back. It's his 3rd World Cup drive, Adam Amour. And he's still a top 3 pilot. And look at the size of these guys. They're not tall. They're half as wide as they are high.
Hey, but they're Speedy Gonzalez. Those legs move very quick. No, Issam is an extraordinary athlete, and we've been seeing his push results for years. You know, if you're in the sport and you know what to look out for in certain push testings and things like that, they're always topping things out. They are excellent athletes, and it's great to see them actually get to show people now, people on the ice. Here we are. Here's what we can do. German 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. And
it will be that fraternal pushing each other on, constantly trying to find a way to push.
Very happy. Good man, Adam.
Yep. So, 17 sleds down, and we get to the first of our new drivers, Jakob Mandelbauer of Austria. He's 25, Dejan Nichols-Bardi, his brakeman, just 22. Now, we haven't seen these guys in World Cup action at all before. Of course, this is the ideal place to debut, because this is where they learned their craft. Let's see what they've got.
Hey, we're seeing Nichols-Bardi in the back there. That's a dynamic young man. 5.23.
That's
good
a good
pushing,
start.
boys. They've had some good EC results recently, Martin. Lillehammer, we have some top 6s, top 8s in the 4-man or in the 2-man. They've done pretty well. So, again, with an Austrian program in the vacuum left by Benny Meyer, we've got Treichel stepping into the fray, and these young lads coming through and doing a pretty good job. It's exciting stuff for them.
And started only 400 slower than Marcus Treichel and Sasha Stepan. 11th best off the 11th start. They're in 14th place at the moment. Little clip coming down into 8th.
Yeah, they'll be just inexperienced in the drive here. There'll be little mistakes made on the way down, which will just be scrubbing time here and there. But all in all, this is just about experience for these guys. Come and compete against the best. See where you stack up right now. Go away, work on it, come back, and build yourself up. Good stuff.
16th. He's going to make the second heat. I think he's going to make the second heat. He's got, well, that we're going to lose 3 sleds, because we've already lost Mattia Variola. So he's got Sobczyk of Poland behind him. We've got another debutant from Poland coming. We've got Axel Brown from Trinidad, Jakub Prochaska of the Czech Republic. I think that might be enough for Jakob Mandelbauer to make the second heat.
And that'd be a fantastic result.
Could be a bit of a wait, isn't it, to find out. Yeah, exactly. Step into the big leads, make the second heat. That's your first priority. And the thing here as well is 6 training runs for 2-man and 4-man. If you're only doing 2-man, I don't know if he's in the 4-man list for tomorrow, then you get fewer starts. In some Europa Cup race weekends, you do 3 races.
Yeah.
Never mind the training,
it's a
you know.
congested schedule.
Yeah, so it's the lack of runs here. Big Boris Van,
Allez,
9th
Boris.
here in 2021, pushing Rudy Rinaldi, but now driving for Monaco with Antoine Rieu behind him. Made their debut last weekend in La Plagne for the season.
So watch for a big push here. These are 2 great athletes. Get in, Boris.
Handle
5:14. Look at that.
Handle dropped under him, trapped his fingers. He had a temperature of 41 degrees in La Plagne. He was sicker than a sick thing when he was racing.
Boris is hard as nails. And let me tell you something. The guy's had a 2 or 3 centimetre quadriceps tear only a few weeks ago. You know, I like to call myself Wolverine. He puts me to shame. Boris comes back so quickly.
4th fastest start. Let's see what he's got. He's in the top 6 at the Kreisel. He's got a great driving coach in Bruno Mijon. Wow!
For 9 there.
It's
Little
not
skid.
bad. This could be a top 10 run from Boris Van. Wherever Rudy Rinaldi is watching from now, his brakeman is picking up the mantle and running with it across the line. It is a
Well
top
done,
10
Boris.
run. That is fantastic stuff from Boris Van.
He started from 19th seed to drive into top 10, and he's so green still. This is a brand new pilot, another brakeman turned pilot.
We're going to
Look
see
at him.
that start again. 4th fastest start, but watch when he's getting ready to load. Watch the handle.
Oh yeah, he loses. Oh, that's a trap finger.
Exactly. Luckily, he didn't have his full weight on it, but he's got to lift the handle back up, get into the sled, then let it drop when he hits the button.
Again, Boris is the sort of athlete, he'd be like 127 hours. You get a penknife out, cut his finger off, and then get in the sled anyway. The guy is hard as nails, and he's proving to be a good pilot. I mean, these aren't his finest lines, but he's a good athlete. He's getting down quick. Great job, Boris.
Excellent stuff. 9th place. Can't argue with that. Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic with Dominik Zaleski behind him. Both big, fast 100-meter sprinters. Zaleski is the all-time Czech record holder. 10-100.
Hey, these boys are some of my favourite guys in the field. I've been competing with Dvorak since I started. He's been out around a long time. He's had a lot of knee problems in recent years, so it's affected his start. Because he's still not like he's moving too happily, but he's got Zalewski on the back, the absolute speed machine.
5:20, that's a good,
push.
that really is a good.
That's a great getaway.
Yeah.
Boys.
As you say, Dominik not feeling the strongest in the knee. He'll be looking a little more forward to the 2-man race, but that is still just off being a top 10 start.
He's just been one of the standout players in the field over the years. He's had a couple of less happy years in the last 2 seasons, but you know, he was a Golden Globe winner, Globe winner rather, Crystal Globe winner in the 2-man, and he's
third in the overall standings heading into the Winter Games. I mean, it was a really big season for them all.
Yeah. And he's not driving too badly here. He's had a decent start.
Nice looking lines, aren't they? Whipping it through the labyrinth. Is this going to be top 10? How close is he? 13th place, 51.8. That sounds familiar. He's in a tie with somebody. Yes, he is. He's in a tie with Sun Kai-chi. I knew somebody had done a 51.80. So he's in a tie for 13th, ahead of a tie for 15th by 500ths. So 4 sleds, 500ths of a second, 300ths behind them is Adam Debesh. So Debesh is 800ths behind Dvorak.
Yeah, so there you go. The race within a race.
6
Czech
sleds
boys coming
covered
out
by
on top.
800ths. There'll be no action there at all in the second.
But you know what, and a solid push from Dom. Like I said, his knee problems have been really plaguing him in recent years. Zalewski, a 10-100-meter sprinter. You know, you're always going to have wheels there. They're a great pairing.
Yep.
Good job, boys.
One more to go. Let's see if they can rise to the top of that writhing snake pit outside the top 10. It is Friedli who's in 10th place. Everybody else is in 11th. Okay, heading into our final group of sleds. 20 down, the race is full. It is now go fast or go home. Alex Boron for Poland with Bartosz Sinkiewicz behind him. 23-year-old driver, 22-year-old brakeman making their World Cup debut. 5:32, and again, as we saw a little bit earlier, Everything in your first race is about trying to make it into the top 20. And one of the teams they might have to beat are their own teammates, Radoslav Sobchik and Severin Sosna.
That's it. Those boys are currently sitting in 19th, so Boris going to want to get ahead of them.
At the moment, of the 19th best start, they're in 20th place.
Oh, that tap's taking him into a little skid. That's going to affect him.
He's got decent speed, though, and nice out of 9, down to 10. Mattia Variola is currently 20th, but won't make it through, so this is to be in the field, guaranteed. If he's in front of Sobchik, oh, he's not by, what, 12 hundredths behind his very slightly more experienced teammate. Sobchik with just 2 more World Cup starts than Boron.
He looks happy enough his way, but for these boys, don't underestimate the importance of World Cup experience. You know, doing ECs are great, doing NACs are great, but when you come to the World Cup, there's more cameras, there's more pressure, more sponsors, more crowds. It's a different experience, and so even if you don't make the top 20 in the next field, just being around the likes of Friedrich, Schuller, Fleischhauer, Mattis Miknes, the big boys of our sport, just being around them, seeing how they warm up, seeing how they train, seeing how they approach competition, see how they approach crashes and dealing with themselves and dealing with that pressure. It's all a huge experience for them, so hopefully they're soaking all that up and they don't worry too much about what happens on the downtime here. It's just about getting that experience in. Look, they look well happy. That's great.
Well, you know, it's like getting your first cap in any sport for your nation. He's got the Polish eagle on his vest.
Well, speaking of.
Yeah. DeAndre John behind our Trinidad driver, Axel Brown, 21-year-old debutant from Port-au-Prince in Trinidad. DeAndre, a 10-700 metre sprinter and the lightest man in the field, we believe, since Greg's not racing. 5:38 getaway
Very good.
For Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, his coach Lee Johnston made sure to message us saying that he's the only man who has baggy lycra. But DeAndre, you know what, I just met him. He's a lovely lad, and he's not that small. He's just a little lighter. He put on some bobsleigh bulk, but he's got skills. Like you said, we're talking about 10-7 sprinter, and he's given Axel a good nudge there. Something in the 5.3s. He's absolutely acquitted himself exceptionally well.
Just outside the top 20 at the moment, but 15th best speed. Axel Brown's done a few World Cup 2-man races, yet to get the 4-man qualification.
Yes.
Oh, DeAndre with his head up.
Yeah,
wait until you shout it at.
I didn't hear the sound of a brake there.
Yeah, I didn't see any spray, which you would normally see across the line. 21st, 52.56. So they will not make it into the second heat.
Yeah, some minor mistakes from Axel down the track there, but you know what, again, this was important for the Trinidad team to get this new lad in, get him bedded in, get him with the World Cup start. He was a bit nervous, DeAndre, bless him.
Yeah.
But he's given him a good start there. There you go.
Hey, welcome to the family, and no lucky egg either. That's strictly a Jamaican thing. Oh, a couple of little slips on the ice, and again, it's getting that. You know, it's all about technique, isn't it, on the backhands, especially in a 2-man.
Yeah, and you can see him finding his way there. He's obviously trying to go for some kind of extended, like, long contact, drivey, gallopy sort of, kind of almost mimicking the drive phase of 100 metres, but...
Happy anniversary.
Nice. He's finding his way, DeAndre. He'll learn very quickly.
So the Soka sliders are down. Next up, Jakub Prochaska for the Czech Republic. Antonet Vizhas behind him. Again, 2 new crewmen, relative newcomers to the World Cup. Great view inside of the driver's D-rings. One attached each side to a cable on the front axle. 5:21, that is a great start. That gives them a big opportunity. That's the 12th fastest getaway.
That's a good job from Tony on the back there, and also we've got a brakeman turn pilot in the front seat. So good job from Joachim, because 21, like we're seeing today, that's stacking up quite well in the field.
And the 3rd sled from the Czech Republic in this field.
Yeah, 5:21, that's a good job. He's always on the wrong side there, going into 8.
16th place on the splits.
Watch this exit 9 skid. So just lots of mistakes here from Joachim. He's still inexperienced, still green.
Still in the race, 19th on the splits. He's ahead of 2 Polish sleds. Needs to stay ahead of 2 Polish sleds, and does. 52.13. He is in the race.
Good man. He's done well there. He's got a few more races under his belt, I think, Joachim now, but good job. They brought it to a stop. Excellent stuff. Okay, good. Second run.
So he is in, and Boron of Poland, our new boy, does not get a second run.
So I think for these boys, it might be a little too far adrift of 18th, but hey, a 21 push, if they can get that into the teens, that is excellent pushing by any standard.
Yep.
And lots of little mistakes there from Joachim. So you can see flopped out Kreisel there. It's pushed him to the wrong side. You don't want to be on the right coming down there into 8. Tapping back in, he's skidding. All of this is scrubbing time away.
Yeah, those errors, and out of 9 down into 10 there, that's a quarter second. Now then, Brad Hall, Taylor Lawrence for Great Britain. First race for Brad since the end of last season.
5:21, good job, boys. So we know Brad has just come back from spinal surgery, so we were expecting to arrive here with Brad sitting in. We weren't expecting to be pushing at all, so it's great he's been able to do something. And he's got the big man Taylor, the last man standing in our team right now, launching him out to a 21 there. That is pretty good going, boys.
12th best start, up to 11th on the splits. Into the Kreisel, not the greatest speed, hasn't got the freshest eyes to work with. Half a second back.
He's going well here. We've got this new 2-man sled he's been getting to grips with from the Monobob manufacturers, Ixent. He's going well here.
Lots of Bavarian connections. Is this going to be a top 12 run? It is. 51.73 for Brad Hall. His return to competition. And they start 12th. They come down in 12th position.
That's good going. You know what? Again, seeded 24th, coming down in 12th. But you want to have a look at the track footage there. See what he's doing. Hello, Brad. But the boys have done all right. They've done all right.
So Brad Hall, Taylor Lawrence, our final sled, come down in 12th place, and that means that Joachim Prochaska is the final man in the race out of 9. Nice looking lines.
Yeah, you know, I learned after critiquing him in Altenburg last year and getting it wrong that I just don't critique Brad now. So I'm just going to stay quiet.
First one back, a little bit rusty, but yeah, good to be back.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, well, good to have Team GB back in the fold again. I was going to say Francesco Friedrich's been missing that competition, but he's had to focus a little too much on Johannes Lochner to really miss Brad an awful lot. It is Lochner who leads here. Francesco Friedrich has had 11 wins here in 12 starts. The only man who's beaten him in that entire streak, and that was one of the 4 races I think we had here in the first COVID season, is the smiling Bavarian, the nice assassin, Johannes Lochner and Georg Fleischhauer. Well, their winning streak came to an end last weekend in the first corner in La Plagne, but they are back on top here, leading Friedrich by 1400ths. Isam Moore making it a German podium sweep. And again, Frank Del Duca driving out of his skin in 4th place, ahead of Mickey Vogt. Emmet Sapoulis, a great top 6 run for him, ahead of Treichel Baumgartner. Boris Van in 9th, and 100th ahead of Seaman Friedli. And then look at those gaps behind. 400s between Follador and who was behind him, Brad Hall. So yeah, plenty of leeway for risers and fallers. Joachim Prochaska of the Czech Republic makes it through. Sobchik and Boron of Poland, Brown from Tobago and Variola of Italy will be watching the second heat from the sidelines. You can do the same too. Join Greg Cackett, me, Martin Haven, and the rest of the IBSF TV crew at 1500 local, 1400 GMT. That's the entirely sensible hour of 0900 Eastern. We'll see you then. Bye for now.